Perfect. All right, y'all. So like I said, we're talking about Andrew Wilson today. If you guys don't know, I've really been enjoying his videos. He's called The Crucible. He's a hardcore far right debatist, I guess you could say. And he's also a what I would call a hardcore Christian. I'm a Christian, but we know what a hardcore Christian is, and everything like that. So I really just want to get into this debate. I'm sorry, guys. I do want to get back to the debates. I know you guys like that a lot. I'm really trying to figure out my place on this channel and everything like that. But, I'm not going to hold you guys up. So let's just get into it. It's Andrew debunks stubborn feminists reject that she is more privileged than men. Now, I did look into the definition of privilege earlier, and it was basically like rights that specific people can have, essentially something similar to that. And I thought it is kind of interesting because, as far as rules, laws, women and men essentially have the same rules and laws, but we all know that there's little advantages. For instance, men are stronger with jobs that are, involve people, using brute strength. Men are probably going to have an advantage there. And for things like people use the example of women getting into the club for free while men don't, that would be a privilege that women would have for that. So I don't know who's actually winning. Let's see what they got to say about it.
Would you rather come across a random man or a random bear in the woods? We're not going to debate it. I just want your answers.
Say the answer.
Would you rather come across a random man or a random bear in the woods?
Random man.
Random bear.
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 Into the mic, please.
Man.
Oh, sorry, bear.
Oh, man.
Man.
Okay, you three said
Bear.
Bear.
Yeah.
Okay. Really quick, just short. I won't debate it. Just why?
Because animals don't lie and men do.
But they kill
Word.
you.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, did she say animals don't lie? I'm sorry, but never would I think, if I'm trying to survive in the forest, would I be thinking about being lied to or not? That's crazy work. I'd be thinking about what type of tools I need, maybe a water source, I don't know, maybe a tent, maybe some canvas, some shelter. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of emotional, I can't lie.
Really love bears, and I don't really like men.
But you're with. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, yeah, the bear could kill me, but also the man. So but the man can, yeah, I just,
Right.
yeah.
They could
Yeah.
essay, they could
Yeah.
murder you, they could torture, whatever. Okay. So I do want to ask on that.
By the way, the base side of the table said man. I just want to point that out.
True. So the question here is, so given this sort of fear that you guys have of men, to the point that you'd rather be in a forest, come across a random bear in the woods, what percentage of men do you think would opt to victimize you in this situation?
That's a good question.
So if we're plucking a random man out of the population, what percentage? Starting with you.
Well, he's in the woods, so that's not very random.
Okay,
but
hold on. So here's the scenario. It's randomly plucking you.
Random
so it's
man,
not like, why is he
random
in the
woman,
woods? Doesn't
random
matter.
bear.
Hypothetical. It's a random man. You both get plucked, dropped in the woods.
I'm going to go with...
And you better hope it's not a polar bear, because you already know if you run into a polar bear, it is over. Guaranteed. 99.9999%. If he wants to, you're done.
75% chance it's not going to go well for me.
So, okay.
Judging by the
75
sexual
is
assault
crazy.
statistics for women. 75% of us by the time we get to college have been assaulted. So it's
Okay.
just statistics.
Hold on. I'll repeat the question just one more time. So what percentage of men do you think in the circumstances would choose to victimize you?
75%.
Okay.
Whoa.
I would say 50%.
Yeah, I was going to say 50 as well.
Okay, so the population of men in the United States, I believe, is 160 million. 50% of that is 80 million. You'd think that 80 million men in the United States would murder you or essay you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on.
I only think one in the woods, one-on-one. I'm not talking about all of them together. It's just a 50%
Well, yeah, but
chance.
that's still a big
That's
number.
a lot.
It's a 50-50 chance, just like
That's high.
That is true.
yeah, and with a
He's either
bear,
going to do something or he's not.
yeah, it's literally it. He's
With
either
the
going to do
bear,
it
it's
or
about
he's
the
not.
same,
She
but I
thinks
would
it's
rather get mauled by a
75%.
bear at this point. I'm
So that
over
means
it
that
with
one
the
of
men.
these two is gonna kill one of you right now.
That's literally what you're saying.
That's literally
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Again, we are talking about the situation where two people are randomly
Yeah.
are in the woods. just two random people who
But
don't know each
but
other.
We're talking about a
One is me.
population of men, like, and you're saying exactly half of them will kill you.
Well,
I'm saying that there's
He's
if
either
it's-
gonna
Actually,
attack
yeah,
or-
I want to interject here. Recently, one of my friends' girls was over and everything like that, and we asked her this question about the man versus bear thing, and I think I kind of get what she's saying. She's basically saying like it's different out in society than than it is in nature. And I feel like where this is coming from, that kind of a lot of guys aren't touching on, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, they trying to keep it red pill or whatever you would like to call it. I don't think that's red pill at all, by the way. But I think in the women's perspective, it's okay if it's just me and this dude. Over time, this guy is going to try to, you know, essay me because, you know, he knows that nobody else will know. He knows that we're out here. He can physically overpower me and everything like that. Now, are there dudes that I think would be that wild to do that type of thing because they ended up in this situation where they're with a random female in the woods? Yes. But when it starts getting into, okay, 50, 60, then you're basically saying that every man that you're around is innately just like disgusting and dangerous and terrible human being. Now, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of, I feel like the reason this conversation is so big because men are seeing like really how afraid women are of them, that they didn't really realize it was that serious. But yeah, it's that serious, you know, clearly. Because like me, when she says that, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, dang, I would never even think to do that. Like, if I was in a random forest with you, that would not even be on my mind. You know, I'd be like, I'm just trying to get home, you know? And so to hear that, you know, for a lot of men, it is kind of like a kick to the nuts, I guess you could say.
He's not.
There's no
He's not,
logic.
right?
At all.
Okay. So-
guys, we
No,
have
I
to
was
move it
trying to
on.
make
It's
a
like it's
point.
5 in the morning
And
over here.
that was my point.
Yeah, damn near.
Yeah,
I would say less than 10%. Yeah.
I just the numbers I think are astounding. I think it's absolutely astounding the numbers we get, but I so want to argue it now.
Just go for
I so
based
want to
women.
argue it.
Okay.
That's my advice.
Okay, I think perhaps I misunderstood the question. Are you specifically saying how many men overall, I think, have the potential
Yeah.
to do that?
What's the percentage?
You're literally saying half would do that to you.
No, specifically in that situation, there's a 50-50
Yes,
chance.
in that
In that
situation.
But
situation, yes.
specifically, but that was exactly the
50-50.
question.
Yeah, that's what she
that
said.
is a lot.
50-50
Yeah,
is
but
kinda
that
wild.
is specifically in that exact situation.
Because
One
it's-
on one.
Yeah, it either goes left or right. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that person is coming from a pool of men.
Yeah,
So
but
what
I don't
percentage
know what
is
pool.
what's
See, imagine being a man walking around in society knowing that people think you are this much of a monster. Where you know that the people that you're talking about think that, hey, if we weren't just like the same woman that I'm talking to, or I say hey when we're enjoying coffee, thinks that if we both were just taken and planted into a forest, I would attack her. I don't know. That's scary. And a lot of the problems now people say is like men not approaching women and stuff. Bro, why would you? Why would you approach somebody that is this afraid of you? Like, that's just not even smart. Like,
the possibility of that man doing that?
I would say out of the pool of men that this particular person would be the person to do something
Yeah.
bad. I would say about 30%.
That's crazy. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's a lot
I
of
have
people.
do that.
because I have gone through a lot of stuff.
I have too, but
Yeah.
we can't say that. Well, I personally can't say. I would say like less than 10%, and that's like more on the 5% side.
It's not
At
even
least I'm not
close.
saying 50 anymore.
It's not even
Aren't
going to
you
be
happy?
5%. It's
No,
still
yeah, it's just
like
not.
if you guys think about what it is scalably, do you understand what it would look like if there was $100 million in $1 bills on that table? What that would look like? It's you can't actually envision it because
Yeah.
it's so much. You can't really envision it. You're saying that out of 150 million men, that you think that 30% of them
If they
would
got
do
a
something
chance.
bad to you if they happen to be in a forest with you alone.
Yes.
Why?
Because
Why in the world would
that's
you
at
ever
least
assume
how
that?
many men are lying to us on dates and saying that they want to get married and have kids and they
what does
don't
that
or
have to
whatever.
do with
Because
anything?
liars are liars. You can't
But
trust
you
them.
also lie. So in that
You
same
can't trust
logic,
them.
you can also are going to be that person that
Whatever,
will take
if you want
advantage
to
of
say
it.
that.
point.
But I'm
Alright.
saying that
That's a good
men
point.
maliciously lie in order to get a certain
You
agenda
got fake
done with a
titties,
woman.
bro.
You maliciously lied to
I
get
understand
burritos.
You're
that.
lying about your
But
titties.
for the most part, men are coming from
Yeah.
me and taking my sexual energy. You can say whatever you want. Maybe I mismarketed and they thought it was this
I thought this wasn't
virgin,
gonna be
and
a
then
debate.
they've come to find out I'm not.
yes. I'll move it on. I'll move it on. But
You know, I think I really don't get into the relationship stuff on the channel here, but I think this may be some of the bad boy pandemic. You know, some of the bad boy pandemic, because the nerdy guys and stuff like that. Like, she not talking about the nerdy guys. She's talking about them dudes. She talking about them dudes out there that's really really out here, you know, really outside. And the reason why they treat her like that is because they have so many options that they don't really have to show her that respect, and they don't, because they don't. I'm sure there's a nerdy guy somewhere in the middle of who knows where that would love to treat this woman so well, but you guys know what? She doesn't want him.
just know that me and Andrew would absolutely smoke you guys on this if we had the time. Okay, just no offense, but we would, we would rebuke and rebut, and we would own you with facts and logic.
And we
make-
could give you personal
We could give you
experiences.
personal experience,
But
and all
then
the
there's-
women
and
don't
there's-
speak up about the stuff that happens.
Personal experience and facts
always
and
trumps
studies will always
facts,
trump.
logic, and
Well,
reason.
that's stupid
Your
because
personal
It's not
experience
stupid.
is the field of
It's
that.
realistic.
Well, when
It's
your
science.
daughters get abused because you guys were
Okay,
fucking
alright.
ignorant, I mean, it is what it is.
Okay,
You're the
okay.
one showing them.
What would that even have to do with the
sexual things.
conversation?
No real life, so they're prepared
I know
for
real
it.
life because I'm living it
Silence.
right now. This is real.
Silence in the courtroom. Okay, jeez.
Did you have an English accent?
Yes, I did.
Hit the gavel. Just do it. Just do it
I
for the
did.
fun
I
of it.
did.
What's
Wait.
that?
Okay, hold on. Three more questions. Okay. Who's physically stronger, men or women?
Men.
Men.
Man.
Into the mics,
Men.
guys.
Men.
Okay, just had to
Men.
check. I had to double check.
Okay,
Who's the primary victim of war, men or women?
Primary victim of war?
Yes.
Who's the primary victim of war?
Men.
Everybody.
I mean,
Straighten your mic, please.
man.
Men.
Women.
Men.
Wait,
Men.
women, you don't know everybody?
I said man.
Oh, you said men. So women,
Women.
everybody.
Yeah.
Men.
Just curious, why women?
Because men
she
are
good?
the ones
Y'all see
that. So if men are going to war
moving kinda
and then the women are back
weird.
home by themselves, they're gonna be more
Oh,
vulnerable
gosh.
without a male figure.
Hold on, I just gotta say, y'all take a look at her. She look like she might be off some drugs or something. Girl, you good? You have a Percocet?
I believe so. And
Somebody get her a water.
And let's just say, in a world where most men got annihilated in war in a different country, and now this country is just majority women, we are going to be more vulnerable naturally. So,
But wouldn't, okay, let me ask you a question. Certainly,
her.
perhaps it would be catastrophic to that country if all the men were wiped out. The women would be more vulnerable. But wouldn't some of the women thrive?
I'm sure, yeah, of course, there's going to
Okay.
be some. Right.
So if some women are thriving, some women have it average, and then some women are suffering, but all the men are dead?
Well, I could say the same
Wouldn't-
thing. I could say the same thing. It's like, well, some men are going to die, but what if?
Well, you just,
so-
the example you gave is all the men died.
okay.
So they'd be.
That's true. Hang on. You're right. That's true. You could give the
A very
counterexample
small
the same
town
exact
would
way, but
cure
that
that.
would still make Brian's point.
Wait,
And
let
it
me-
depends
Hold on,
on if
wait.
you think that death is the worst case scenario. I think just being alive and
Oh, boy.
suffering
Okay,
could
I
be
do have-
worse.
Okay, well, I do have to.
I don't really think death is the worst case scenario, but I think being alive and suffering is worth. Come on now. Like, death has to be the worst. I can't even say that. Deletion's got to be the worst case scenario. Like, I mean, yeah.
Ask this question then. It is a bit heavy, but so would you, and I'll open it to the whole panel, starting with you, would you rather be essayed once or killed?
To get started in data analytics, you don't need previous experience.
That's a crazy
or a
question.
degree. The Google Data Analytics Certificate.
Yeah,
I
already
said
good.
once.
That's already happened to me. So.
Been there, done that.
At this
We don't
point,
need personal anecdotes. Just answer the question.
At this point, just kill me now. If it happens again, I'm done.
Hey, okay.
But I thought you could have no emotional connection with them.
Go,
I'm just done with getting abused, to be honest.
Go ahead.
Essay.
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 I'd rather. Andrew, would you rather? I'd rather be essay, and I can.
If it was by a man, then I would choose death.
Don't,
if it was by a
Andrew, don't
woman,
say that.
Okay.
There you go.
Same.
Oh,
I
convinced.
concur.
Lawyered.
I'm going to take that. Andrew, see, I need you. You're so
Andrew.
smart.
Why does it affect you so much if sex isn't really like that? It's just sex. Like, I'm
No,
curious.
that's an
Wait,
assault
that
against
was
my
just
soul,
that was just a
and
better-
I'm over
okay.
it. At this point, I would like to die and leave my legacy that I've written books, and sometimes you gotta die to get a point across.
That
you do what you gotta
doesn't
do.
even make any sense. But anyways, just for the sake of moving things on. Okay, so war everybody.
She literally
Into the
said
mic,
she will
please.
take it to
Yeah,
the
war is
grave.
horrible on
So
the whole
so
society.
everyone. So okay, but the question is, I should have just kind of pushed on this initially when I asked the question. The question is, who is the primary victim of war, men or women? It does. The question does not give you an option of saying everyone. So if you had to choose one, which do you choose?
You know what? It's the men because
Okay.
of the traumas
Thank-
that they are stuck with after all that,
Fair.
even if they live.
Wait, so going to you, World War I, who's the primary victim of World War I for you? How do we do, okay, that works.
I guess I would say.
You guess you would say men?
You said
I
woman.
don't know.
To the
I guess
general
I
question.
guess yeah. I would still say to women.
Okay.
Women.
What about World War II?
Woman.
Vietnam?
I would just say women all around.
The Ukraine War?
Yeah.
Well,
That is crazy work considering the men actually go overseas and like pass. Like I'm just thinking about I'm not sure too much about but just thinking about World War II. Like literally, other than Pearl Harbor, none of it was done on American soil. Yet we sent thousands upon thousands of American men overseas where they ended up passing away. I don't know like what I wonder what the number outside of Pearl Harbor, because I wonder what the number of women casualties in America were during World War II on American soil. You know what I'm saying, or even on other soil, because I'm sure it wasn't much.
Even Palestine,
Ukraine was very
Israel.
modern, and I have some information on the Ukraine war.
Okay,
So-
but before you say that, can you say women?
Women.
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 Yeah, instead of woman.
Women.
You keep on
Women.
saying woman is
Women.
plural, like women.
Women.
Women in here.
Women. Yeah,
Women.
Women.
All right.
It's my Spanish. And
So, let me ask you just one more time. So in the Ukraine,
Oh, no. It's not your Spanish. Hang on. We have plural in Spanish too for mujer, right? We know what plural is in Spanish too, right?
yes, Andrew, you're right.
All right.
okay, so I'm trying to wrap this up here.
Why
So
cigarettes? We gotta ask.
hold on, no, hold on. Okay, so
What's wrong with cigarettes? You,
Well,
you start smoking. Helps with the brain.
No, it doesn't.
actually, I saw this video. Actually, people who smoke cigarettes, it actually does. You know,
Stop it.
that.
Don't even.
It's
don't
true.
even. Just stop.
Maybe nicotine, if
The
anything.
nicotine-
Well, yeah, the nicotine. That's
Anyways,
But
okay.
just like
Yep.
not the tobacco.
So, Ukraine war. Who's the primary victim of the Ukraine war? Men or women?
I still believe women.
Okay, so Nick, could you pull up that photo? Do you know which one? Make sure it's the blurred one. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nick? Okay, so and there's also news articles. You can fact check me on this. But so when the Ukraine war broke out, all the men had to stay in the country. Like they could not leave. So from the age of 18 to it was either 60, 65, they had to remain in the country.
Right.
All the women of any age could flee the country. Oh wait, hold on, Nick. All the women could flee the country.
Okay.
So evade the war. They couldn't be drafted into the war. They could leave. So all the men could stay. Maybe not all the men had to get involved in the war effort, but a lot did. A lot got drafted. The women could go off to Romania. They could go off to London. They could go to Stockholm. They could be up in the club doing all this shit. Pull up the photo, Nick. So, on the left, you have Ukrainian women who were screenshotted on, I believe it's primarily Tinder, a dating app, trying to get dick in various countries that they fled to. On the right, you have, well, I don't want to say it, but you have the casualties of war, seeing this photo, women clubbing, partying, trying to
Brokenness.
get dicked down by dudes in Stockholm.
did you want
by
her
some
to do?
Desperation.
Hold on. Loneliness and desperation. Okay, so
I didn't say loneliness.
okay, whatever. So, knowing that there are thousands or hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Ukrainian women who went to Stockholm and went to go fuck hot Swedish dudes, and they're on Tinder, and then comparing it to the other photo, does that change your view at all on this?
No, because although that they are victims to death, like obviously that's horrible, and I do believe that men still have the responsibility of protecting. And
Yeah,
but
she really somehow is about to like justify this and say how it couldn't be worse.
but this is going back to, not to bring back to you, but it's like those women are now without a male figure. Now they probably have kids. They're desperate. They're trying to do. They go into sex work, or they're looking to survive. And
That's
now
worse than
not
getting
only are
hit
they
by a
victims,
grenade.
but now the children are victims to just more brokenness and all this debauchery.
We knew that the shaving industry was sort of intentionally broken, it feels like.
Are you sure you're not a feminist?
Ew, no.
Well, that's
Are you
very
sure?
that's a
Because
very
that's
guy.
not
Hold on,
feminist.
hold
I
on,
was
hold on,
thinking that.
hold on.
No, I don't.
It's
I feel.
Wait,
I
stop,
feel,
stop,
I,
stop,
okay.
stop. Your view is a very gynocentric one. It's very woman-centered, woman-focused. How could it not be the case when I use the word primary, which has a meaning? How can it not be the case? Now, if I grant you that it would be absolutely
Bro, this girl right here is
devastating
cooked
to,
right
for example,
now.
a wife of a soldier, and that soldier died in
Y'all
war.
watch her, she's
if I
done.
grant you that it would be devastating to her and she would be hurt and distraught, couldn't you at least grant to me that dying is worse than being distraught and coping with the death of a loved one?
That's the
Yes, but
question.
I'm also not just looking at that. Look at the Palestine and Israel on both ends, all the
Okay,
kids
hold
and the mothers.
Okay,
that are,
but let's keep it. Okay.
but that's still valid, right? That is still they're still being victims to war. That
Okay,
men
fine.
are,
I'll even argue this point. Even in the Israel-Palestine conflict, the men are still the primary victims of war, even in this conflict.
Well, I mean,
In
if
fact,
I could just.
the men are the primary victims of war in every
They
single
start
conflict.
the
But wait,
wars,
hold on,
though.
but
the
then
men
you
are
hate
the
when
ones
people
who
say-
start it. Women aren't out here declaring.
I'm just saying, if I had to choose as far as safety is concerned, do not send me to the front lines. I don't know what she is talking about. I would much rather prefer to be at the crib watching Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Rooting. Hey, you know, y'all do what y'all gotta do. You know, I'm sorry, our economy may be a little screwed up here. Maybe our kids can't eat as well because y'all are all over there overseas fighting this war. But yeah, I think most people would definitely choose to be back at home at the crib and not on the front lines. Why this is a question, I have no idea.
But
That's-
hold on. But you people that are like you, they like to argue that feminists are victims and like that victim mentality, right? So why can't you use that same logic with men? Like, isn't that your guys' duty to protect
Hold
us
on.
women?
Is it wrong to say that somebody dying, they're not a victim?
They are a victim, but also what about the
that
kids
wrong?
and the children?
Men can't even be victims when getting deleted. It's like, boy, you better pick yourself. Boy, you better pick yourself up. Be a man. Why are you laying there like that? You look weak. It'd be like, yeah, you passed in war, and that kind of gave me the ick. Like, why didn't you survive?
That are also,
Hold on, no, let me address.
It gave her the
No,
ick.
hold on. See, hold on, stop. So when feminists make stop. Everybody stop. Goddamn, stop.
She really called men on the
Holy
front
fuck.
lines victims.
Jesus Christ. You guys are stop. Holy fuck. Let me talk.
O'Brien's getting mad.
The reason feminists are criticized when it comes to their victimhood mindset, their victim mindset, is because they'll complain about things like manspreading and mansplaining and these sorts of benign and
What is that? What
arbitrary
is that?
things. Because the grievances and granted, I do think there are actually legitimate grievances that women face. However, feminists will often they will either exaggerate or there will be a hyperbole. They'll present false information when it comes to their supposed victimhood status. And then they'll also just complain about just the most benign, ridiculous shit like the wage gap, mansplaining, manspreading. Okay, so that's where the criticisms come for.
Yeah.
So you can't then use that as justification to be like, well, why are you calling men victims when they fucking die in war? I apologize if I come off as a snowflake for holding the position that men dying in war makes them victims.
They are victims, but also, like, looking at it from a dark perspective, like, okay, they die and then it ends there. Now let's just hold on, wait. So with my church, there's a ministry where we go to Africa. Hold on, real quick. You're trying to leave?
Just say your point. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so there's a ministry at church where we go, well, I don't, but my church goes out to Africa and looks over the widows and the children that are left alone because the men have to go to war and they're just left in villages and they're left without food, they're left without everything. So if we're going to be approaching this from a traditional standpoint that men are, that's their responsibility. I'm not saying they're not victims, but they are going to war to protect their women and children. And then,
I mean, by her logic, though, that would mean that her job would be to stick it out for the kids and everything like that. Therefore, meaning that she would hold some type of equal, I guess, responsibility or equal, victimhood, for, like, I guess, a lack of food or something being there for the kids. But even still, I don't even think there's a point in us even having this conversation because I think we all know that, in wartime, being at home is better than actually being in the war. I think this is just an example of like how little empathy there is for men and how people really don't care about how men feel most of the time and everything like that. That she would even be able to sit here and say something like this and, and that some people would probably even agree with her,
okay, they die. It's horrible. I'm not saying that's right, but now the victims that are still living are the women and children that are having to. I don't agree with what these Ukrainian women are doing, but if anything, it just shows how much more broken they get without the male leader in the frame.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and any.
You don't have to agree, though. I see what you're saying.
It's kind of hard to
victims,
agree.
They're dying. That sucks. But the children in the rubble,
about the woman?
The children and the women in the rubble right now, as we speak, those are victims that are still alive and breathing because of war.
Yes. Okay. So if I can acknowledge that war has a negative impact on children and women, I can acknowledge that. However, the men who are dying are the primary victims of war.
Yeah, but I think you're thinking I'm coming from a feminist point, but I'm actually making a point that men are much more, I can almost say more important than women, that they hold such a valuable value in the whole family unit that when they die, it impacts the family immensely.
Well, if they're more important than women, wouldn't their death be more important than the suffering of...
it makes much more of a
more
suffering.
treasured, yeah.
Because more people are being affected without their leadership and without their protection even more.
I know, the wife has to...
Okay, so hold on. Let me ask you a question. Let's assume that...
He cut her off
I don't know
quick.
what the death toll is in the Ukraine conflict, but let's assume in World War II that 5 million of the men that died in World War II were single. They did not have a spouse. They did not have a wife. They did not have any children. Maybe they had a father, mother, brothers, sisters. I'll grant that. Knowing this, those 5 million men that didn't have a spouse, didn't have kids, are those men then the primary victim of war?
I guess that situation, no.
Wait, even in that situation, still...
Hey, shout out to who's ever watching, but I'm actually going to cut this here because this seems like a revolving argument. It seems like a useless argument, which is why we're going to have to get back into the more technical debate videos, I feel like, and everything like that. Might check some Candace Owens later tonight and check hers. I'm gonna watch this NBA game later, and if I get back tonight and I'm feeling it, then we'll maybe check that. Maybe get something with a little bit more intellect. I just personally couldn't sit here and just watch this woman say that women are more affected in wartime than men. Now, obviously, there are things that negatively affect women more than men, and vice versa, but this is not one of them. And at this point, I feel like she's being intellectually honest and just dishonest. You know what I'm saying? Intellectually dishonest, you know? So, shout out to my guy in there, and I hope you guys all have a great day. I'm going to try and start hopping on here and making videos every day, just going live, just chopping it up with all y'all, you know, and everything like that. And if there's any like topics or anything you guys want me to hit on that, you know, makes sense and everything like that, I'm open to that. We're just kind of chilling on the channel now, having some fun. You guys have some fun too. You know, I work for y'all. So y'all have a great day and be blessed, and I will